I couldn't resist the hot hotel receptionist. Me, at my 24 years old independent woman, finally decided that I should enjoy myself and spend part of my economies on a holiday travel to a new country. Chosen country, Spain. It was always a kind of a fantasy to visit Spain, and I was finally doing it, even though I was going alone and didn't have much of ideas about how to have fun alone. I guess after a few drinks at the bar, I would end up winning over my shyness and talking to someone. But my fun there was about to begin much sooner than expected. I got there early in the morning, 5 a.m. or so, made it to the hotel at 6. I was tired, was planning to take a nap, and then get to see the city. As soon as I got there, I was pretty surprised by the receptionist, a tall and handsome brunette, which was so nice to me that it was almost like he was flirting. Maybe he was, who knows? And that changed my mood totally. I got to my room and took a shower. Didn't feel like sleeping at all, but was hungry as so I decided to ask for food. It was faster than I thought, and after I got it, I was about to close the door when I saw the receptionist passing slowly by the hall with some papers in hands. Maybe he was checking for rooms or something. I have no idea. I was pretty tempted to take the opportunity to try a conversation, but nah, I'm too shy for this. I had to enjoy myself just by looking at him for a moment. But me being me, ended up dropping stuff from the food cart, making a lot of noise, and even more when I tried to grab it in a hurry so I could just close the door and pretend it never happened. So embarrassing. He noticed, of course, and came right away, asking if I needed some help and kinda already helping. After we got that mess back to where it belongs, I kinda tried some small talk to break the ice, but I was still so embarrassed he could notice and got into the small talk thing, telling how clumsy he was by always dropping stuff himself, and then again, there he was being so nice to me. There was something about him that I didn't know if was a natural charm, plus him being nice, or if he was flirting and I was just about to miss my chance in the moment that he would walk through that door. So I mind-slapped myself, telling myself to get some attitude, telling myself that I had nothing to lose, and I would be leaving the country in 3 days anyway. So I did it. I got closer to him and asked if anyone would notice in case he takes more 15 minutes to do whatever he was doing up there on the hall of the rooms. He was surprised. He was so surprised that he took like 10 seconds to reply, and that silence almost drove me crazy. I was already planning an apology inside my mind, but for my bigger surprise, he just closed the door behind him and kissed me. I kissed him back immediately, and everything started happening so fast. There was no time to think, just act. So I did. I started by helping him taking out his suit. Oh God, he was so hot on that suit. Then opened the buttons of his shirt one by one as fast as I could. It took me only a short moment to appreciate that handsome Spanish shirtless man until he grabbed me and throwed me on the bed. I was wearing a dress which was very easy for him to get rid of, and there I was in underwear only, with him kissing my body. Every kiss would turn me insanely on, more and more. He got rid of his pants and I could see very clear how horny he was, and that turned me on even more. He took off my bra and started kissing my boobs, sucking and licking my nipples, while putting one of his hands inside my panties to touch my pussy. I was so horny. He felt it immediately with his fingers on my wet pussy and started rubbing and fingering. Not long after, he decided to get rid of my pants and got naked himself too. I couldn't hold myself, just put my mouth on that extremely hard dick and started sucking like if it was the only one in the entire planet. He held my head and just let me... I could feel how crazy I was driving him, putting his dick in and out of my mouth, licking his balls and eventually looking him in the eyes just to start sucking it again. I stopped for a moment. We looked each other in the eyes and I had the feeling that he wanted to do the same for me. But I was horny. I just wanted his dick already, so I asked for it. I told him, "Fuck me now, please," which I'm pretty sure drove him crazy immediately, then just put me on doggy style and started pounding me merciless. I couldn't hold myself from moaning with that hard clock fucking my hoo-ha so hard, and the more I moan, harder he would fuck me. It kinda hurt his clock hitting my cervix like that, but that situation made me so horny to the point I would enjoy even the pain. I was out of myself. I just wanted him to more and more, and I got so wet while he was me hard that now all we could hear was the loud noise of his hitting against my wet huheya. So far, he was holding me strongly by the waist to force his clock inside me as much as he could. But now, with one of his hands, he grabbed my hair and pulled it while pounding me. That made me lift my head a little bit, and I realized I could see ourselves in the mirror across the room. Seeing myself being like that by a stranger made me realize how much of a I was being in that moment, and I didn't care. I enjoyed so much seeing him me, my blushed face, my bouncing, that heat, that noise, his hot, hard clock in and out. I couldn't hold myself anymore, and all so hard like never before. Just a few moments after he did it too, filling my hoo-ha with hot and it was so much that it immediately started leaking out to my legs. On that moment, we just lie in bed trying to breathe. We were so tired, but that feeling was so amazing. We stared at each other for a moment, and then he just jumped out of the bed saying, "I've been gone for almost half an hour," and started dressing as fast as he could. I didn't care. I just stood there naked and relaxing while he left the room until I fall asleep. I slept the entire morning.
So me and my two close male friends had this third friend that we would always joke around with, like we had a group chat and everything. I'd inserted a joke that we all should do a fun group activity, quotes and all. She was like, "Let's all get arrested." And the conversation was taking a turn that wasn't really that so to put things back on track, I had posted a picture of Thomas the train engine. She was like, that could be fun. Couple of weeks later, we had discovered that she was actually down for the train. So we planned it all out. We got to my boy's house, where we planned to do it, and then she said it. She didn't want us to use condoms. We all were like, no problem, until my friend who got the last turn of us all, whether it was purposefully or not, didn't pull out. She took a shower at my boy's house, and when she got out, she asked which one of us didn't pull out, all of us looking at the friend who had done the deed. Now, if I'ma be honest here, I didn't really pull out all the way either, so our next action was in my best interests also. We all drove to the nearest pharmacy and had to get this girl a plan B. She didn't get pregnant, so that was good. We still rocked with her heavy, so the whole incident wasn't a problem. Me and the girl about a week later had gotten suspended from school for unrelated events, which then prompted her mother to look through her phone. This exposed our whole train, due to every conversation even remotely related was on there. After a couple of extremely awkward conversations with her mother, we had convinced the mother that it never happened. I won't be able to look her mother in the eye the same again. Luckily, due to her mother being a single parent, I didn't have to deal with her father. We had convinced her that it was a very detailed, extended inside joke that we all had.
I've been married for about 20 years, and I believed we had a marriage with perfect love, with its flaws, of course, but with love above all. For some reason, my wife was never very passionate, and one of our problems was that we had few relations. She is affectionate with kisses, hugs, and showing affection, and we are always together since we are both very introverted. For years, I tried to approach her in every way, but I always faced rejections because she either didn't feel like it or it wasn't the right time. I even stopped offering her to see how far it would go, and a year passed before she initiated it. When she did, it was with joy, as if no time had passed. And honestly, seeing her so happy, I couldn't bring myself to say anything. Over the years, it became the norm, happening once a year. Naturally, I struggled, and I had to make many decisions. After insecurities, rejections, and more, I concluded that she is asexual. We spend the whole day together, and we don't go anywhere without each other. In this regard, we might seem a bit odd, but we are happy, from work to home, and we always go out together. The possibility of being with someone else was zero, because she almost never left the house without me. Only if I told her I didn't feel like going out, could she go out alone. I share all this to show the commitment and, although sporadic could happen elsewhere, a relationship with another person is impossible for both of us. With all that explained, what recently happened has been bothering me, and I can't seem to get over it. During one of the Saturday walks we started taking, part of the route was along a nudist beach, and I began to notice that her eyes were wandering very noticeably to the guys on the beach. It's normal to some extent. It happens to me too, but it was very poorly concealed, probably because she doesn't usually do it. All of this, after a few months, made me think that if she has sexual desires, she is not truly asexual, and I didn't understand what was happening. One evening, After a tough week thinking about the issue, I told her that not having relations was affecting me a lot and taking a toll on me. It had been many years since I had said anything about it, about 10 years. Surprisingly, we started having weekly starting with massages with oils. It was very pleasant, but suddenly I became very worried because I didn't understand what had happened during all those previous years if we could easily have weekly I confronted her with the idea that she must explain it to me, and after pressing her, she said that having caused her pain for days afterward, leading to her rejecting it. But has it been like this since we got married? I asked, and she said it had always been this way, from our first relations. But she doesn't know why she hasn't had problems in recent weeks. Suddenly my world collapsed. I am her first partner, so she doesn't know if the problem is with her or not. But for me, my world has crumbled. It turns out she is also my first partner, and I understood that I had never had full relations. At the time, I tried many things because I thought we had little because she didn't fully like how I did it, but it was even worse. She felt pain, and that's the story. She says she loves me and doesn't care about She cries and tells me to please continue, that she can't do anything about the past, but wants to continue however she can. In my case, I feel like a violator. Also, as I mentioned, she is my first partner, so I feel like I have been denied real relations without her telling me anything during these years. Then she told me that she sometimes reaches but then the pain comes because I take too long. She never told me anything, nor did she hint at it. I never suspected anything. The worst part is that the last few weeks have gone very well, and I think it's because of the massage oil that ended up covering her whole body, reducing friction, and preventing her from experiencing pain. So simple. And she never told me anything. We've been like this for 20 years because she didn't want to say anything. What kind of person gives up on without trying anything, never explaining the pains or what she liked more or less? I think she held as something very special and was ashamed. On my part, I feel deceived. All my memories with her are crumbling. All these years without are because she didn't have the confidence to tell me what was happening. And furthermore, what I enjoyed, she suffered, all because she didn't dare to simply talk about it. It's crazy. What kind of trust does she have in me? Is it like this in some other aspect? How am I going to approach her from now on? The thought of approaching her makes me cringe. How do I know she won't do the same thing again? If she is not a sexual but we don't have does that mean we are just friends? She tries to make me forget everything and continue as always. But it's been 3 weeks, and I can't shake the feeling that this is not right, that this is madness. Since then, I have been considering ending my supposedly perfect marriage. I am always thinking about the issue and going around in circles. Well, I'll finish because the story has become very long, even though I've omitted many details. Sorry for the outpouring and for explaining some things very quickly. It's difficult to seek help for similar cases because I understand that this is not something that typically or occasionally happens. While my story takes a different turn when I discover that my partner is not a until that moment, I see quite a few similarities. The truth is, you can love someone to the point of sacrificing yourself to that extent, and it doesn't matter to you. It is what it is. Yesterday, my wife went to the gynecologist. I didn't know she had the appointment at that moment. I'm a bit distant from her right now. I didn't plan to share so much, but I want to leave this here in case someone has a situation similar to mine. When I found out, I asked her not to forget, to ask about our situation. She looked at me with surprise and said it wasn't necessary because lately it had been working well with the oil. I told her that even if it's going well now, she might have the same problem in the future, and that's why I went to ask about it myself. She fell silent. It bothers her because of the embarrassment it causes her. She left for the appointment. 2 years ago, she had a benign tumor, and they removed her uterus. I think she scheduled the appointment to ask for prescriptions for hormones or a checkup. When she returned, we went to a quiet room where our son couldn't hear us, and I asked her. She told me it was awful. She was stressed. The doctor looked at her strangely and asked questions about whether it was before or after the operation and so on, and she was mortified. She said he prescribed some hormones to use in the vagina in addition to the regular ones she was using, and to continue using oil. She mumbled that she wouldn't dare to go to that doctor again after this. I told her it was important. that the pain could be due to the vaginismus that many people mentioned here. It affects not only physical issues, but also stress and emotions. I told her she could go to therapy or we could go to couples therapy together. She got frustrated and told me no, that she had been reviewing our entire life together, and that it had been wonderful, but we were always stressed due to different situations, and it was now that she felt stress-free for the first time. She said wasn't important to her, and she doesn't remember any problems in all the years we've been together. Besides all the situations we eventually successfully overcame, she was always happy. I didn't want more but I did want a better life. I asked her to have a bit of empathy. It didn't go well. She stayed silent for a few seconds and then left, stressed. My conclusion is that she's not a but matters very little to her. She doesn't seem to understand what a normal life is. Now it's my turn to reflect on everything that has happened and make my own decision. I will do it calmly. I don't want to be driven by feelings that come from frustration, although it looks like it will take me some time. It's going to be an unusual Christmas.
I, 28F, and my boyfriend, 31Mem, have been together for almost 9 years, and we have had a very good relationship to this point. He was always very nice and caring, and through our years together, we have explored many different aspects of our life. We aren't exactly traditional, and some of the things we enjoy involve toys. These toys can be used alone or with someone else, and the specific toys that spark this conflict are the toys. Bit of relationship with him on the receiving end. We only ever use the toys on him, as I do not enjoy them. I make significantly more money than him, so I bought all the toys, some costing upwards of $100. I don't know when it happened, but at some point he got into contact with some online dominatrix, and they really hit it off. I caught him on FaceTime with her, and she was having him use the toys I bought on himself. It was shocking to say the least. He made some excuses, but I couldn't stand to see him in the aftermath, so I packed up all my stuff and went to stay with my friend, who lives in the area for a bit. Part of what I packed were the toys I bought. Within the day, he had called me asking where all his toys had gone. I told him I took them because they're technically mine, but he said that's unfair. He says I should just let him have them since I'll never use them anyway, and also that I'm overreacting. He says that since it was all online, it isn't really cheating, and that I should just come home. He's my first real relationship, and I don't want to flush 9 years down the drain over some petty overreaction to what he says is essentially just Also, he's right. I'll never use the toys. Am I being an asshole? I went back to the apartment and we had a very serious conversation. And like many of you said, he was paying her. I just kept asking why, but he couldn't give me a solid answer. At first, he said it was just like before, but later on, after I told him I considered it cheating, he admitted to also considering it cheating. Apparently he's been cheating on me with other dommies for a few years now, since he started working from home, but only once in person. I asked about what needs I wasn't fulfilling, like many suggested, but he told me he was just bored of me, and it wasn't a big deal. I also asked him for the dommie's contact info, so we could work out the toys situation, which he happily gave. I tried asking some other things, like what we could do to salvage our relationship, but he got annoyed and rude to me, so I decided to leave it there. I do feel a bit better about it, knowing he paid her. I guess that's where his half of rent has been going, lol. Anyway, I got into contact with the online dom. She's very nice. I offered to sell her the toys at a discounted price of $150 so that she could keep her customer. She agreed and was very apologetic about the whole thing. We're gonna get coffee in a few days to exchange goods because even though I'm giving the toys back, I can't personally give him back the things he used to cheat on me. To answer some things frequently brought up when I said some of the toys could be used with someone else, I meant that they're partner toys, not that we were in an open relationship. We were not. I mentioned that I make more money to explain why I had bought all the toys instead of him. That's literally it. It was some financial abuse power play like some of you said. I am very much into being his dommy. IDK, why so many of you guys think it was forced on me or I'm not as into it as he is. It's my kink too, so is the pegging and He wasn't seeking other dommies because I wasn't into it or whatever. I wasn't taking the toys to punish him. I was just upset and didn't want to fund his further cheating while I was out of the house. I miss him so much that I don't know what to do with myself. For so long, he was a massive part of my life, but I don't know if we can ever rebuild that trust. Should we go to couples therapy or something?
So I've been married to my wife for almost 7 years. We've been together total 11 years. When we first got together, she told me that she was married but legally separated and filing for divorce. We went out a few times and we didn't hook up immediately. So when we did, she told me that she was sleeping with 2 other dudes sporadically. She was their booty call. I told her that I don't hop from partner to partner. So she agreed to no longer sleep with them and cut ties. In the beginning, the was great. Then we hit year 2, it started to slow down. Like way down, I asked what could we do differently. She started taking prescribed antidepressant meds. Found out it brought her libido way down to nothing. We communicated and we started having again. Skip ahead to year 4. We get engaged, married, and move out of state. We move in with in-laws and the became next to none. She felt uncomfortable having in parents' house. We lived with parents to help be caretakers of terminally ill step-parent. This also allowed us to save for a house. So we eventually buy a house and move out. The I thought would have improved, so now it's like maybe 1 to 2 times a month, maybe. Then it went to once every 2-3 months. So we start trying for a kid, and we would only have when she ovulated. I was happy, but then we found out that we will need medical intervention to get pregnant. This was 2021. During that time, she was getting shots and on pills, so became non-existent. We had a miscarriage in the summer of 2021. Then in the fall, we had success with embryo, but still no She didn't want to chance anything. During the 9 months, we only had once. Then our little baby was born. She had to have a C-section. I didn't press her on having so we went summer of 2022 to winter of 2023 without doing anything. We finally had March of 2023, but she just says hurry up and get it over with. So I've asked her many times, what do I need to do? She says nothing. I don't ask for it. I stop trying. I have become frustrated because she said finally she doesn't enjoy it, want it, and expects me to just not want it any longer. I've tried for so long to not say anything to her, but she just gets mad when I bring up time frame. We are sitting at 9 months. When is enough and say I'm leaving? Am I the hole for telling my wife how I feel about this situation?